Hey, everybody, and thanks. This is a very special edition of the Daily Cruise and Travel News Podcast. As you know, I don't normally talk to people. That's just who I am. I talk to a wall. You're quite familiar with that. Today's, though, it's very special because joining us are two out of the three comedians that will be with me and Dottie on board the MS Stottendam, February 14th, Valentine's Day, Jackie Martlin's birthday cruise. It's going to be an amazing 7-day trip, round trip, Fort Lauderdale, St. Thomas, Turks and Caicos, St. Martin. No, not St. Martin, St. Thomas. Where the hell are we going?
San Juan and Half Moon Cay.
Thank you. We're going all those places. So I asked the guys if they wouldn't stop by, including my wife, so we can take a few minutes and talk about why we're doing it, how much fun we're going to have doing it, and also, just in case, I know you've never heard of me, but just in case you've lived under a rock for the last 40 years and you don't know who John Ferrentino or Jackie Martling or the missing Richard Minervini, I'll say it, my turn. We'll get who they are. We'll talk about it. So welcome, John. Welcome, Jackie.
Hey, how you doing?
Welcome, Dottie. And let's start with Jackie Martling. I've told this story 100 times on my podcast. I always thought I wanted to be a comedian, but I was always it's impossible to think you can do it. And I saw two comedians live, and I cannot remember the other comedian. You guys can help me out. He was the Italian comedian in Freddie Roman's show on Broadway. Right? It was
Dick Capri.
Dick Capri, okay? I was at thank you, Jackie. I was at an event in Newark called Saints and Sinners. The Saints part is we raise money. The sinners, there were strippers and comedians, that kind of stuff. And I saw him, and I'm like, oh, it looks so unbelievably hard. And then I decided to go see this comedy night in Burnsville, New Jersey, down in the basement with my brother. And we went down there, and we saw this absolute wild man. I mean, just one joke after another. Bend down, bend. It was Jackie Martling. And I bought his album because back then, Jackie sold more merchandise than 400 comedians combined. And I had that album.
Which album was that? What Did You Expect? Him in kindergarten giving you the finger?
And the very first one. And that's the reason. That man there on the bottom of that square there is the reason. So I welcome.
I'm still here.
I'm going to leave it there. Hold on one second.
I'm still in Bernardsville, as a matter of fact. For you people playing along at home, that was a Jerry Stanley gig in Bernardsville, which was you go to New York City and then you fly to the Midwest and then start looking. And Bernardsville is somewhere around there. It's so far out in New Jersey, I don't think they even have a zip code. But boy, those were great shows. Those shows in the basement at Bernardsville. I could almost tell you the name of the stupid club if I thought about it.
Freddy's.
I know. What is it?
Freddy's.
Oh, was it Freddy's in Bernardsville?
It was Freddy's in Bernardsville. Jerry Stanley.
That's the not to go too inside, but do you know the most famous story about Bernardsville, Ferrentino? No. Well, not to talk ill of the dead, even though I didn't like him.
Just the Woodsy story?
No, this guy, Jim Myers, who recently passed away, walked out on stage at Freddy's. And after 7 minutes, they hadn't even, I don't think anybody even took a sip of their drink. And it was so quiet. And he finally said, "Well, God bless you, ladies and gentlemen," and he walked off stage. And for the rest of his life, every time anybody saw him, "God bless you, ladies and gentlemen." Well, but that was a fantastic place. Jerry Stanley's still alive and kicking somewhere.
The Woodsy story is Joey Cola took the gig because he wanted a Bob Woods story because we all had one. So Woodsy's on stage and they're just these three guys in the front row and they're just heckling the crap out of him. And he just, like when he just plowed through the show, like making believe he doesn't hear these guys. And at the end he goes, "So if you like my show, ladies and gentlemen, Art Connie, Sheila McCraig, and excuse me, because I got to get off the stage and kick their asses." And he dives off stage and grabs these two guys in a headlock. One guy jumps on his back and he goes up the stairs, the stairs because it was downstairs. and he gets up and he goes, Cola, get the money, start the car. So Joey says he's in his mother's car, and he pulls up, and he's got one guy's on his back, like punched him in the head, and he's got the other guy in a headlock, and he goes, it's time to say goodnight. He flips the guy off his head, throws the other guy on top of him. He gets in the car, and Joey goes, I'm just horrified. He goes, we get about 3 blocks away, and Woodsy goes, you know, pal, in a couple of weeks you may hear some stories about me. Just don't believe them.
Well, I will tell you, I know for a fact, as far as that story is concerned, there actually is a Freddy's in Bernardsville. The rest of it is could be in Ferrentino's imagination, or it could all be true. But it's probably somewhere in the gray area. But it's all very feasible.
The one I'm thinking wasn't Freddy's. It was another one that he had downstairs.
But they were all the same. You know, they were all. Either the crowd was nice, or sometimes if a couple people decide to be a little rowdy, then the rest of the crowd would kind of pick up on it. And the funny thing is, it was hell, and we look back at it with the fondest, pink glasses, But some of it was horrible, but terrific.
I have to tell you, it's a night I'll always remember, and it was Freddy's. And I'll never forget it because I walked out of there thinking, and I actually began after that standing up in front of a piano in a restaurant in Parsippany just doing jokes.
That's very flat. But I used to destroy that room. Man, that was a great room.
It was unbelievable. Now, I'll tell you another by the way, if you come on the cruise, one of the things that you will enjoy, if you enjoy comedy and road stories, there will be a Q&A session where you'll be able to sit down and listen. And I'm a fan. I mean, I got into this business because I was a fan first, and I never lived the life that these guys have lived. Minervini, who's not here at the moment, I came in very late, but I will tell you a Martling story that Jackie's not going to remember. I was at one time running a nightclub in Lake Apacon, New Jersey, called Central Park. And I was the manager and the bartender, and we had a comedy room upstairs.
I could tell you who my middle act was.
Brett Butler.
Brett Butler.
and she left the stage in tears because those were the Stern days. And Howard Stern, my owner, bought time on Stern. He bought commercials on Stern. And Stern was telling everybody, go to Lake Apacon, you'll score. Go up there, see Jackie. There's broads everywhere. You will get lucky and it was loaded with all these guys that drove up to Lake Apacon, New Jersey, to see Jackie Martling. Well, Brett had been booked as the headliner that weekend, Friday and Saturday. Well, she got bumped to middle because you were coming in. And they absolutely destroyed her, where she came off the stage crying. They were so vicious. And then you went out and you owned them because that was your audience. And
that used to happen. And, it was so out of my control. You know what I mean?
I agree.
So out of my control. Like, I refused to have anything to do with booking the opening acts because it was like throwing lambs to slaughter. Although if somebody went up there and they were funny and they got them right away, it all depended on the place.
Oh,
like opening for me at Rascals, people would kill and say it was the most fun they ever had. But some places, people are ready to quit the business,
Well, and also this was a Stern crowd. They were conditioned.
Yeah, they always were.
No, well, that had to be 1986 because Central Park was only around for 2 seconds, and those places were so rough and tumble. There was one place. Now I'm going to go blank. God damn it! It was Lake Hopatcong.
Yeah, that's it. That's what this was.
There was another place that was so bad, and I was playing Stump the Joke Man, and the guy in the back of the room yells, "Where's your license plate?" And I was stumped. What kind of joke was that? I said, I don't know, and he held it up. He held up the license plate and ran out of the club. And what could I do? I was so pissed off. And
you stole your license plate?
Yeah, a couple months later, I went into the club, and you know how a bar has all kinds of crap behind the bartender?
Your license plate.
The license plate was right up there on the wall. I'm like, you mother, Jesus Christ. But you rolled with it, And the guy was obviously a fan. He wasn't being a dick. He was like, it was a pretty good souvenir. I got to admit,
Let me back up a little bit, and for the people that are listening to this for the first time and wondering why, let me explain to. And if you don't know, the Joke Man was with Howard Stern for 16 years. That long?
18, but actually 15 as head writer, though.
Yeah, back when it was Stern. And where did the Joke Man come from?
The title.
Your title.
You're talking about my nickname.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I used to do dial 516-922 wine, my dirty dial joke, which is still going. And it's a long story, but it's a great one because you got to be old enough to remember in 1979, 1980, if you wanted to make a long distance call, it cost a fortune. Like none of the comedians ever. It was great because your girlfriend couldn't check up on you because nobody was calling home because it was too expensive. And there were these credit card numbers. There were about 15 digits long. And if you use those, you can make long distance calls. And there was a whole subversive group of people that collected these credit card numbers and passed them around and called all over the world with them. And it was like a little club. It was the group of fun listed numbers. And one of these girls in Los Angeles found out about Dial-A-Joke. It's so funny. I got sued. I got threatened by Bell Telephone that I couldn't use the term Dial-A-Joke because it was their intellectual property. So it became the X-rated joke line. And this girl, they all found out about it. So of course they called all the time. And this girl called up the Rick Dees show and told him about this great joke line. You should call in New York. And at the time, it was, when I first started, it was squeaky clean because I started it with dirty jokes and they called me up. They actually called me up and said, Jackie, you got to clean it up. They called me on first name basis from the phone company. Jackie, you got to clean it up. I cleaned it up. They called the next day and said, you got to clean it up a little more. I guess I went from really dirty to fart jokes and then went to really clean. So this guy, Rick Dees, called me up and said, hey, we've been using your joke line. I know I'm long-winded, but in those days, I knew what was on 922 Wine. It was different every day. And I knew what was on there. And my sister was out in Madison, Wisconsin with her husband. And they heard me on the radio. And my little niece, Jessie, went, my voice came on the radio and she went, Uncle Ha Ha. So my sister says, hey, we heard you on the radio out west. I'm like, wow, that's great. What joke? And she told me a couple of the jokes. I said, that's impossible. That was on weeks ago. And then my friend Bill was out working down in New Jersey. And he said, Jackie, I heard 922 Wine on the radio. Really? What was the joke? And that joke was on weeks ago. He was listening to Z100. And my sister, whatever station he was listening to, Rick Dees was putting on his weekly top 40. Back in those days, He used to do a top 40 countdown. And in between, he put some jokes. But as time went on, I made Dial-A-Joke dirtier and dirtier and dirtier. I don't know if you remember, things really loosened up. Like in 1980, all of a sudden there was HBO, and all of a sudden you're sitting with your mother and there's bare boobs on the TV screen. Yeah. It changed so quick. So I made it dirty and dirty. So Rick Dees actually called me up and said, hey, we've been calling 922 Wine for a long time and people love it, but it's gotten too dirty. Will you do some jokes just for me? And I never heard of the guy. I didn't know. I said, sure. And he said, I'm going to tell everybody that you're a dentist from Encino and that you go into the closet and record these jokes. And I said, not for nothing, but how the hell does that help me?
Yeah.
He said, well, I'll call you tomorrow. And he called the next day. How about this? You're this crazy guy from New York that knows all the jokes. This guy, Jackie the Joke Man Martling, and you know all the jokes. And I said, sold.
That's
and
it.
That was it. And from then, my name used to be Jackie 922 Wine Martling. And that day it became Jackie the Joke Man Martling. And everybody always assumed Howard gave me that name,
All right. I want
Wait,
to
I gotta add to this story. So Jack used to have these stickers called they said 9221, use your finger. And they were everywhere. I was in Mexico, in Tulum, and I went to the top of the pyramid, and on the top of the pyramid there was a 922 sticker.
There's nothing I love more than stories like that. You know,
let me get it right back to where we're at. Again, this cruise, 7 days, round trip Fort Lauderdale, 4 different stand-up comedy shows, in addition to all the entertainment they have on Holland America. They have a BB King's Lounge. They have a Rolling Stones Lounge. They have a piano bar. The World Stage has their own, there you go, their own production shows. More than likely, they're going to have their own comedian. All of these extras, 4 different shows, and also John's, we'll talk about that right now, John's paranormal presentation, a Celebrities Liar Club. We're going to talk to Dottie about that. The Q&As, Jackie has a documentary. We're gonna show that in the World Stage. Now, I think it was off air when you said, can we let other people in? That is one thing we're going to let people in to see. If they want to come into the World Stage and see your documentary on these massive, it's a massive LED wall. It's going to be tremendous. All of that doesn't cost you a friggin' dime. Here's what you have to do. You go on Holland America, on the website, Holland America Cruise Line, February 14th, MS Stottendam. Look at the room you might want, the suite you might want, and then contact us at Best of Sea Tours. That information will be somewhere on here before it's over. Contact us, book it through us. You must book through us. If you book through us, you'll get access to all of these special events. And I'm going to tell you, I could sit and listen to these stories for the next 2 days and never run out. But now I have a challenge. I think you can do this, Jackie. Could we actually promote? I know this isn't what you do and who you are. Could we promote a 45-minute show with Jackie? Clean jokes?
you could try. I don't know who you're going to get to do it.
Yeah, I just
You know, my girlfriend is always all over me. She says, Jackie, so many of the jokes, because I'm always telling her jokes around the house, and she says, "Oh, those clean jokes are so great." And I'm like, yeah, but I like my bang for my buck. I could probably go up there and go forever. There's so many jokes. Here's the guy who, instead of went to the bathroom in your tuba, here's the guy who wrecked your tuba.
He's cleaning
and
up.
all of a sudden it's still a filthy joke.
Yeah.
But it's not a dirty joke. So a lot of those,
Great too. John Ferrentino, let me tell you the history of John Ferrentino. I'm a new comic. I became a comedian. I auditioned for Ships, and I somehow stepped in it, and I'm now working in Las Vegas for a guy named Bob Kephart, the legendary Bob Kephart. It's my first time in Las Vegas. I am a rookie on top of rookies, and I'm working with Tom Manzalone and John Ferrentino. Now, at the time, John Ferrentino was at the top of the hill. He was on Comic Strip Live every other week. He'd been on the road with Crosby, Stills, Nash, and just no Young in those days, wasn't it, John?
We did a reunion tour, but most of the time it wasn't.
Yeah, and here's the little old Tommy Drake as part of this show. And here's what I learned about John Ferrentino. If you go on the road with him, you don't get to sit home. You don't get to stay in your room. You don't get to take a nap. You got to go out and do something every day, all over the strip. Let's find this and let's explore it. And we've been friends for the last 30 years. As I've been friends with Richie Minervini as my wife, and I'll put my wife, she's been very patient. My wife met John long before I met John.
The cruise ships.
You can tell that story.
Who, me?
Well,
Yeah, it's up to you. Remember when he was the king? He was the king of the Norway.
He was.
Yeah.
On 2 weeks, off 2 weeks. That's when I met John. Although it might have been the Sunward 2, possibly, before. But when I became cruise director on the Norway, you were on 2 weeks, off 2 weeks, and nailed every show, no matter when you did it. North Cape Lounge, Saga Theater. It was the guests always enjoyed your shows. So, and Richie, I met on Ships as well. I met Richie before I met you as well, Tom. And he was one of the acts as well.
And we both have something in common when it comes to Richie and John. Richie announced my engagement to Dottie on stage on the Norway, and John tried.
And John told you not to go out with her.
And John told me not to date my wife. Don't go out with the cruise director. It's the kiss of death, because if you break up with her, you'll never work for the Norwegian Cruise Line again. He tried to stop my marriage before it even got there. Richie, on the other hand, anyway, let's talk
And
about.
I liked both of you. It was not like don't marry that person because I don't like them. It was like I was trying to save your career.
It was totally logical advice. Totally
Absolutely.
logical
Thank you,
advice,
Jackie.
know.
And 30 years later, we're married 27 years now. So
Yeah, how about that?
been
That's
lucky.
because you're perfect. Now,
No, that's because you were stupid and didn't listen to Ferrentino.
that's true. He had a valid point, but now let me go back to how this came about. This cruise, we saw Jackie in Fort Myers a few months back, and our company, Best at Sea Tours, does hosted cruises, but not for 100 people or 200 people. So this is a big project. But I did it because as a fan of comedy, I look forward to this cruise because 3 of the funniest guys in the world. Plus, my wife just retired on March 2nd as a cruise director. So now she has a chance to be a cruise director again because all of the activities, all of the shows will be presented by Dottie, and she will also host Liars Club. Now we'll get back to John Ferrentino. I met him after he was already a big star, but I am told by people that when he started in magic, he wasn't a comedy magician. He was a straight. He wasn't dating guys. He was a straight magician. And is the story true that you were backstage and somebody said, "How come you're so boring on stage?"
So what happened was I had never even heard of a comedy club, and there was a place called Richard M. Dixon's White House then. And I was doing kids' birthday parties and dinner dances, but doing magic. And my mother goes, "There's a comedy club that just opened right around the block from the house. Go check it out." So I went there, and it had only been open 3 weeks, and there was the 7 original comedians from Long Island: Bob Woods, Dave Hawthorne, Jeff Sabrowski, Jackie. It was in the Tangents at the time.
Yeah, he was at Dixon's, but it wasn't.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about, Dixon's. So I go there, and I was really impressed. I mean, everyone was really funny. And I went up to Minervini after the show, and I go, "God, you guys are really funny. How long have you been doing this?" And he goes, 3 weeks. Yeah. And I go, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, 3 weeks." So he goes, "What do you do?" And I go, "I do some magic." And he goes, "You start next Wednesday." I go, "What?" He goes, "I need a straight act in between the comedians." So I would do my act like serious magic, I guess. And then I'd walk backstage and the comedians go, "That was pretty cool." And I go, "It's something you couldn't do for $29.95 and stuff like that." And then one night it was just the worst. Eddie Murphy was there and they were like, "Listen, the crowd really sucks. Go out." Everyone's like going, "Oh, I'll get them, Dave Hawthorne. I'll get them. I'll turn them around," right? He bombs, right? Everybody's bombing. So they go, "Just go on and do your act like you do for us. We'll sit in the audience and we'll laugh," you know? And I went on stage and just made fun of everything I was doing. And I had really fun. It was like the first time in my life I actually had fun. I wasn't nervous on stage. And that's how it kind of started. But I have to tell you a Jackie Martling story. So years ago, I used to do these linking rings. And then I went to this magic convention. I saw this thing called linking coat hangers. And it's really a hard trick to do because rings don't have an upper or a bottom. Hooks have to go a certain way. So I get the instruction that says, "Practice this every day for 8 weeks. Put a date on your calendar where you're going to perform this. And make sure you do this cold because, you know, you can't get used to doing it and everything." So I do everything like the book. So I go to do this at Governor's. And it's a 6-minute routine. I'm 2 minutes into this and it's going nowhere. And I know it's 4 minutes till I get off the bus. And I'm bombing and I can feel it. And I can feel the sweat coming down the back of my neck. And in walks Jackie. And he screams out the top of his lungs, "Hey, brother, don't give us all your A material. Throw us some filler." And I just started laughing so hard on stage that the audience he just cackled the whole time. And the more it got worse, the harder he laughed, and it saved the whole bit, actually.
You know, as I sit here, you know, when you buy a book, you can have an audio book. Now, if you bought a book about the history of comedy in Long Island, okay, this is what we're talking about, but this is the audio version. And I've already promoted this in talking about Richie, the other club, East Side Comedy Club, where Eddie Murphy, at the age of what, was on
17, I guess.
17. Now, would that be considered contributing to the delinquency of a minor, the fact that you're growing up there? And Kevin James, and by the way, Minervini was supposed to be with us, but he is on the set of Grown Ups 3 with only a few names: Adam Sandler, Kevin James, David Spade, Rob Schneider, Julie Bowen. I heard Jim Carrey's doing a cameo. So he's on the set. It was lunchtime.
He said they're running late, so that's why he can't join us.
So he's on the set, and that's why he didn't join us. But now, Jackie, help me out here. Were you partners with Richie in this, or was it his mess?
In the very beginning, when God created heaven and earth, I was in a band, and
the Off-Hour Rockers.
The Off-Hour Rockers. And when I came back to New York from Denver in 1973, I got together with the guy that taught me guitar in high school. We played in high school, and we played in between during summer breaks. And I came back from Denver, and I said, listen, he actually came to Denver, and I said, I'm working construction, and I can't even play my guitar. Let's go back to New York. We can have a band. I've been writing some songs. And he said, okay. I said, okay, but we can only play original songs, and we got to tell jokes in between. We got to be completely wacky. He went for it. And we were so crazy and so fun for 5 years. But people don't remember, in the 70s, there was no such thing as a video camera or an iPhone. There was not one frame of footage of that band. And we used to make people crazy. I mean, I'm sure we were horrible, but they came back each week to see us be horrible.
Yeah.
And it got to a point where there was a lot of tension in the band. So I started playing single nights by myself. Just me and my guitar sitting on a stool. And then one night my band was playing at this place called My Father's Place in Roslyn. And it was a big deal for our band. We're a little three-piece band, and this was a big show bar that had Chicago
big rock
and the
bands,
Rolling Stones, everybody, Buzzy Linhart. And it was a big deal if we got a chance to play there. So I think we played there 3 or 4 times. And when we did, everybody we knew, you better be there, you better be there. And we get like 300 or 400 people would come out. So this one night we went to set up to do a sound check, and we couldn't do a sound check because the cheap piece of crap owner, Michael Epstein, that actually became one of Bob Nelson's characters in his act.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He's a real guy, and he still exists exactly like he was in 1975. They're doing sound check. They couldn't do a sound check because they were doing auditions for the Gong Show. And I was so pissed off because it's a big deal for us and we wanted to be our best. So we're watching these auditions, and Jim Myers came out as a comedian, and a little later Richie Minervini came out and I said, wait a minute, I'm as funny as these guys. And this is a true story. I went up to Richie and I said, how'd you get to be a comedian? And he said, simple, I had cards printed up. And he handed me a card that said Richie Minervini, comedian. And his manager, Betty somebody, was Patty Smythe's mother. And he said, you know what, you're really, and he stayed to see our show. And he said, you're really he said, you're really funny.
That's all right.
You should come to Richard M. Dixon's. So I said, all right, sounds good. So I went to this Richard M. Dixon's. At the time I had a guitar and my stool and a bag of props. I was a whole circus. And, it was intimidating to be a comedian. I'm used to being on stage, but playing my guitar and singing a song. So I'm just about to walk out on stage. And that guy, Jim Myers, pulls me aside and he says, listen, I don't think they're going to buy your shit. So I'm still mad at him. So I went out there and it was great. And I went there a lot when I wasn't playing in a band or playing my own nights. And we had so much fun. A great Bob Wood story. The guy that owned the place was Richard M. Dixon, who was a guy who actually had his face surgically altered to look like Richard M. Nixon. That's a true story.
Yeah.
And he was a nice guy, but he was so cheap, it was frightening. And he'd only pay us $5, but we were allowed to drink for free.
Only 2 beers, though.
Well, whatever it was.
2 beers.
But this is the night I met Bob Woods.
Right. I know this.
So I get done with the show, and I sitting at the bar with Woods, and I don't care if we're paying, but we're drinking beer after beer and whooping it up, and I'm really liking each other from the start. And by now the club is empty, and Richard Dixon's wife Maddie is freaking out. Of course, they want to go home. So Dixon takes one of those plastic bins and starts going from table to table, putting the empty glasses in the bin. And I turned to Woods and I said, you know what? I think it's time to go. I'm so drunk that the busboys are starting to look like Nixon. He said, you're all right, pal. So after a certain amount of time working at Dixon's, like, this is terrible. And Richie and Woods were at this club in Huntington, and they had jumped up on stage to tell a few jokes. And they said, listen, can we have a night here? And he said, sure. And he said, listen, we could get a night at Cinnamon in Huntington. I said, well, I got an amplifier and a microphone, and I got speakers, so we could do it. And like, how are we going to advertise? We got no way to, we got no money. And that's when I decided to start 922 Wine, so people could call up, hear a joke. Here we're playing at Cinnamon tonight, and then another joke. And it was instantly busy, constantly. And that show lasted like 15 years. It was upstairs at this little restaurant. And Richie would host the show, and I would close the show because I was dirty and I played the guitar. And after a certain amount of time, the guys were coming out from the city because, you know, in the city, they're making $5 for a show. They come out to Long Island, they're getting drunk, they're getting stoned, they're getting laid, and they're getting $40. So they were in heaven coming out to Long Island, and we were getting so drunk and having so much fun, and you know, and we were making a lot of money. But then Richie and his brother and another guy, you know, I didn't have any money. I was never asked to be part of it.
Okay.
And they started the East Side Comedy Club.
Okay.
But it was an outgrowth of that show at Cinnamon, which was just, I mean, it was a real show. I mean, I recorded that first album was recorded in that stupid restaurant with microphones hanging, you know.
It was a great room.
Oh man, you know, and people, and it was so new. People would go wild, you know.
Yeah,
and
comedy was just didn't exist back then. Like where you could go and see 3 comedians. It was like
I put up a show in every bar room on Long Island. Me and my amplifier and my microphone. One-nighters everywhere. And people, you know, after they knew about Cinnamon, people would come out from, you know, I did a show out in the middle of Long Island, and we're ready to go. And I don't know who she was with, but Carol Leifer was out there with maybe with Bales or somebody. And I didn't know anything about hockey. And we're all set up, ready to go. And the guys at the bar are watching the hockey game, and it was in double overtime. And the owner said, you got to start the show. I said, well, you got to turn off the TV. It's a miracle we got out of there with our lives.
Yeah.
And Carol Leifer said to me, boy, you got some set of balls. I said, hey, you wanted to get paid, didn't you? You know, and that was the kind of stuff that went on, you know, just.
I remember we did a show for Jackie had in Glen Cove where we stood on a pool table with a piece of wood and a Olico light so close to your face you could get sunburned. The country squire. It was just every time I round that corner in Glen Cove, I still get the chills. You know, some of the places were just classic. But you know, I'll tell you a great one. I was working at a place called the Hungry Bear in Huntington. Just me on my stool with my guitar, and it was the week before Christmas. And it was a long bar, and there's a few people sitting at the table, probably eating dinner, and maybe 2 people at the bar. And I'm at the other end of the bar from the bartender, and I'm telling my jokes and playing my songs, and the place is empty, and the songs and the jokes are bouncing off the walls, and it was just a nightmare. And after the song,
the bartender from the other end of the bar says, "Hey, Jack, they want you outside." And I said, "Who?" He said, "Everybody." I can still hear that son of a bitch. Oh, that was the biggest squelch I ever heard in my life.
I remember one night, me, Jackie, Bob Woods, and Dave Hawthorne were coming back from a college or someplace, some way out on Long Island. And it wasn't a great night. And Jackie goes, "Pull into this bar." We walk into this bar, and Jackie goes, "I can make anyone in this bar laugh. If we can, we drink for free." Do you remember this, Jackie?
Of course I do.
Yeah. So Jackie starts telling jokes. Woodsy starts doing impressions, and they go, "You're next." So I go out to the car and I get a dove, and I put it in my pocket. And Jackie goes, "Well, he doesn't do jokes. He's a magician." So the bartender throws me a napkin, and he goes, "Do something." So I grab the napkin, I pull a bird out of my pocket, I rip open the napkin, and produce this live dove. The guy freaks out.
No way.
He puts it on his shoulder. And he's walking around. Now it's time to leave, and I need my dove back. And he's going. I'm going, "Hey, listen, man, I need the bird." And he's going, just. And now he's drunk too because we're all drinking. He goes, "Just magic yourself another one, man. This one really likes me."
We were that was Southampton College, and it was so far out there, and we drove and that place was like probably halfway back. And we got back to my house, and Hawthorne had picked up Woods. And
Right.
Hawthorne was so drunk, because I'm sure he was drinking all the way home as I was driving the car. And we spent the night in my attic. My office was my mother's attic. And Woods didn't want to stay. He wanted to go home. And Hawthorne couldn't drive. Woods walked from
Like
East
an
Norwich
hour.
to Huntington. He walked drunk. Oh my God. And that was the night. And Hawthorne's a great, great guy, but he was always towing the line. We always wondered about him.
Well,
And me and him slept on my mattress in my mother's attic. And at the time I had this really pretty girlfriend, and I woke up with a hangover, and I looked, and there's this bare back in front of me. And I'm not even thinking, and I start kissing this back.
no.
And all of a sudden, Hawthorne goes, "Jack, what are you doing?" Oh, man, I never jumped up so fast. I never talked so fast in my life trying to explain what was going on. Oh, God. Those are the days.
Let me remind everybody that's watching this trip down memory lane, all of the entertainers all have a long time in this business. And I, for one, worked for 30 years as a comedian on cruise ships all over the world. John for equal amount of time. Minervini, Jackie, no. Jackie's career with Stern jumped him to another level where he's worked every land gig there is. When you come and join us on this cruise, we will all do our own shows, but you'll also get a chance to hear these stories, more stories. And I'm not sure Jackie knows this, but Dave Hawthorne is on this cruise. Okay.
Oh, yeah, of course I do.
Yeah, so he can kiss you.
I can't wait to see Dave.
Yeah,
Oh my
so-
God.
He comes here for lunch every December 23rd.
But I think he's skipping Christmas so he can be on this cruise in February. But again, that's a name most people probably don't know, but another brilliant comic who was a partner of Billy Crystal, who's out in California now, who was legendary in the days of comedy in Long Island, where it started.
The funniest guy ever.
Yeah, there you
Who
go.
had no act really. He was just funny.
Now let's get a couple minutes with John, and basically you got a manager, and the next thing you know, you're on every other Saturday night. You're on Comic Strip Live with your comedy magic, because in those days it was you and Amazing Jonathan. Well,
And Kozak.
You just mentioned Kozak. He's got his own show in Hawaii, right? Is that what he's doing?
Yeah. I was just there with him.
But now, thanks to these conventions, there are probably 42 million comedy.
Well, it's funny.
conventions.
It's like Kozak and I were talking about this week that originally there was 3 of us in the comedy club business, and now there's like 3,000.
Yeah.
You know?
And another 2 million amateur comedy magicians.
know?
They're
Oh, yeah, like in 1980, there were like 150 comics in the whole country, and now there's 150 million. I remember
Yeah.
Rick Overton. Rick Overton said, "Do you realize that there are more brain surgeons in New York than there are comedians. It's like, not making as much money, but
you know what confuses me now though, when I see these ads for these shows, these Facebook posts, it's 6 comedians, 5 comedians, 8 comedians.
Yeah, because they only have like 10 minutes.
Yeah, it used to be 3, right?
I go in to do a show at the brokerage or Governors or something, and the owners yell at you like, this guy was here last night. He's got 80 million followers on TikTok.
No act.
And he didn't get a laugh the whole. I'm like, but don't yell at me. You're the one that hired him, for Christ's sakes.
I know.
Nobody earns their keep.
That's part of the reason we're not doing this as audio. We're doing it in video is because eyeballs, they say that it catches more eyeballs and that's what they do. They're all over. I'm not here to trash anybody. We, in the cruise industry, we've lived that forever when they send in a 10-minute sizzle reel and they hire this comedian and he comes out on ships and wow, he's just not ready. It's a different world living there. And my wife will tell you that. By the way, the president of Best of Sea Tours, now a very successful travel company, who are promoting and sponsoring this fabulous 7-day cruise on the MS Stottendam that I mentioned that. Over the years, I would imagine, Dottie, I don't want to speak for you, but I would imagine that John, myself, and Richie were probably 3 of the funniest people you ever introduced. Go ahead and lie.
Absolutely. No, you are. I mean, you started comedy for me on the Welcome Aboard show, which filled the room. Welcome Aboard shows never would fill the lounge.
Right.
I asked Tom and he said, I can give you 15 minutes. Now that was after all the introductions of the staff, the revenue partners, and then Tom would come out, and then by then they'd be sleeping. And he would have to wake them up for 15 minutes.
Oh, that's great.
And I wasn't even dating you back then. I did it.
No, we weren't. No,
Yeah.
you did it. And that's how you got the next contract for the holiday.
Yeah.
Because back in the day, they used to allow us to pick who we wanted on the on our contracts as far as entertainers, because they would come for the whole contract. They wouldn't just be there for a week, because they were short cruises, and I got to pick who I wanted on my ship. We were doing 12-day Baltic cruises, and it was you, it was Paul Edison, who's a vocalist, Michael Rappa, magician, and Billy Boyle from Ireland.
Irish hack.
And
Billy Boyle.
back then, John, you didn't want to fly. You didn't want to come over to
I
Europe.
had 2 little kids at the time.
Yeah, you did a couple. I remember with your dad. When your dad was a dance host. Your dad, you did some of those. But no, the shows, all 3 of you. And Jackie, I laughed my backside off in Fort Myers. Oh my God.
That was very flattering that you guys were there or came up there, whatever you did.
Not only there, but we made sure we had that front table right in front of
right
you.
right there.
Well, it's funny to back up this whole story. When Jackie was in his band, the Off-Hour Rockers, he was working at a place in Freeport called, I think, the Right Track Inn.
Absolutely.
And I remember as comedians from the East Side Comedy and from Dixon's, we'd do road trips sometimes just to go down to see him, to see, like real comedy. You know what I mean? Because he had that crowd going crazy. I mean, he had little signs that fold down, Mrs. Pulaski, and he'd had singing along and stop and do jokes. And yeah, it was, it was like, to us, it was like watching a professional comedian, because we were all so new at it. It was ridiculous,
It was vaudeville at its worst.
Yeah, it was. Not at its worst. It was good.
We were playing one night and we were wailing on some long instrumental, and I was so drunk, and I just grabbed the girl and pulled her into the kitchen. When we came out of the kitchen, she was on my shoulders and I was stark naked. And the owner, Al, he just like leaned over and locked the door. They were so used to us being so crazy. Oh man, we go out, the whole bar we had a 1955 Cadillac hearse that had a big door that opened in the back for the casket and was all it had rugs on it to make it soft. And one night I counted, there were 18 people in that hearse smoking pot. Like the whole place would empty. And we go in there and just and then the whole bar would come back in, and it's not even believable, and we never got in trouble. We never got stopped, never got a ticket. We should be dead, but we're not,
In the cruise industry, we all have stories of things that, I'm not going to get into it, but we on a ship called the Norwegian Dream, I was assigned my own room, but I didn't use it. So we turned it into a cocktail lounge. We took the bed apart, put it up against the wall. We went in Le Havre, France, and bought cases of champagne and filled the room. And people had keys to get in my room, and the ice bucket would be full. People would have cocktail hour every day until the hotel manager found out about it. And that was that. It was over with. I'm not the only one. Legendary stories about Rich Rapora.
Yeah, so Rich Rapora decides, he was a comic magician, that he's going to have a beach party. So he pays the divers to bring him in 4 50-gallon garbage cans filled with sand. So he pours it in the floor of his room, starts his beach party, but what he didn't realize that he infested the whole hallway with sand fleas.
Jesus. You got to love that.
And
You got to love that.
Richie is not here. And this is a story that was told to me that Richie did. And whether it happened or not, it seems like it would have been. The Norwegian Cruise Line ship was sailing out of San Juan, Puerto Rico. It was doing 7-day cruises, and sales were off. So they heavily discounted it to the people that live there. And so Richie goes out to the Welcome Board show, and he says to everybody, "What do you think of Puerto Rico?" No, I'm sorry.
Oh, wait, I was there for this.
Okay,
I was there for this. So Richie comes out on stage, and he goes, "So I just spent the day in Old San Juan." He goes, "What do you think?" And they all applaud. He goes, "Yeah, the problem with it is there's too many Puerto Ricans."
Jesus.
Right? So after the show, these 3 guys walk up to him, and they go, we were very offended by your show. He goes, this is the funniest line ever. He goes, "I'm a police officer, he's a lawyer, and he's a judge." And Richie goes, "Is this the start of a joke?" And they go, "We just want to tell you that we are highly offended at what you said. You're a racist." And Richie goes, "I am what? I am so deeply offended by that statement. I just cannot believe it." And they go, "Well, you said there's too many Puerto Ricans." And he goes, "Listen, if you're from America, what are you? You're an American. If you're from India, you're an Indian." All I was quietly saying was that that Old San Juan is such a beautiful place, but it's so crowded because there's so many Puerto Ricans. It's the same thing as I said, America's too crowded because there's too many Americans. I am so highly offended that you would think that that was racist. And they go, "Oh man, we're really sorry. We didn't mean to."
And then one guy turned to the other guy and said, "Did he just make that up?"
Yeah, I did. He was fast. He was fast on his feet.
I mean, he could talk his way out of anything. It was it was hysterical.
John, we're going longer than I thought, but it doesn't matter. But let's get a quick Crosby, Stills, and Nash story. And John spent 10 years on the tour, riding the bus, right? All
right. So my horror story is how I got the gig originally was I was working in Valley Forge, Pennsylvania. I brought a woman up on stage to stick a sword through her neck. I tap her in the back of the neck with the real sword, and she starts to pee. But I mean, not just a little bit, but there is a waterfall coming off the bar stool. And the audience is laughing. So now I got to address it.
Yeah.
So I step back, I roll up my pant legs, and I go, "Wet breakage, aisle number 3." Right? And it gets a huge laugh. And I send her back to the stage. She's in jeans, and she's a mess. Right? So I walk backstage, and Crosby is in a coma laughing. Yeah. And he looks at me, and he goes, "Anyone who can make a woman pee in her pants, you're our new opening act."
That was it.
So that's how I got the gig.
That was it.
So we're working all these hockey arenas across Canada, and we're big places, like at the time for me, it was really big. It was like 4,000 and 5,000 people, and so I look at the tour book, and it says we're going to be in Philadelphia at this little theater, basically like the Phil Maurice, like 1,500 seats. So I get like 8 comps. I call everyone I know. I go, "Hey, I'm killing, man. Come up to Philly, see me. I got you free tickets." So everybody comes up to Philly.
Philly.
And So I walk out on stage, and first the DJ comes out. The local DJ goes, "Hey, you like Crosby, Stills and Nash?" And they go crazy. He goes, "All right, well, first here's your comedian." No name, and just walks off, right? So I walk out, and it is hell. I mean, it is worse than hell. And all my friends are in the audience going, and my ex-wife Marge is there, and she goes, "Oh my God, he's bombing. I hope he doesn't think he's doing well." Right? Oh, it was horrible. And it's like, so then finally, right out of the Jackie playbook, they're going, "Get off the stage." And I go, "Shut up." I go, "I'm only supposed to be here for 20 minutes. If you don't shut up, I'm going to be out here another 20. Right? And now they start to get a little bit quiet, but they hated me. I mean, they hated me. And I walk off stage, and I am like dejected. It's still pretty new. I go, I'm done. And I just drop my carpet bag, and I'm like, oh my God. And Crosby walks up to me, and he grabs me in a bear hug, and he hugs me, and he goes, "Man, they fucking hated you." And I go, "Thanks, David." He goes, "No, man, they really did." Right? So then I go in the dressing room, and Graham Nash walks in, and he goes, "Hey, listen, man." He goes, "I apologize for our crowd. You should never have to go through this. From now on, every night before the show, I'm going to come out and introduce you." And he would come out every night and go, "Hey, David and Steven isn't ready to come out right now. And but we're going to bring out a friend of ours who we thought was really funny. We make him a permanent part of our show. I'd like to introduce my good friend, John Ferrentino." And I'd come out, he'd hug me, and the crowd would be like, "This guy knows them." And it was like night and day. It was unbelievable.
Wow.
Let me,
Those type nights, are so ingrained. You can't remember any of the good ones. I worked at a place called The Chance in Poughkeepsie, New York. I was opening for War, which is, remember Eric Burden and the Animals, then Eric Burden and War. So this was War, which was like 10 black guys with no Eric Burden. Okay. And the stage, it was an old vaudeville theater, and these black guys had everything you could think of to shake, knock together, make, it was like wires, and the whole thing was a total mess. And I had to fight my way to get to the microphone, and they just ate me alive for like 20 minutes, and I'm freaking out. By the end, I'm almost finding out where to go with this. And I get off, and then I go and sit down, and I said, "You know what? I know how to get them. Next show, I got it. I know exactly how to play this. It's going to go great." And I'm drinking. I'm going to be fine. And I'm sitting there drinking, and the show ends, and all of a sudden the announcer goes, "Due to light sales, everybody's invited to stay for the second show." I don't know what I drank, and I don't know how I got through it, but holy Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
But that's you live for those stories, couldn't have been worse,
Let me get.
Oh yeah, it's yeah. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean,
We've all had them. Especially
yeah.
the
I mean,
gigs.
I was opening for Devo, right? And they were really nice guys. They were all pretty normal, but the crowd that comes to see them are pretty punk rocky, wacky. I did the bar stool where it drops and the pipe comes up, and it jammed and hit me in the back of the ass. I went flying off the bar stool, cracked my head so hard on the stage. There was a cement stage that it was like a cartoon. I could see like things circle in my head. And I got up, and I was so dizzy, I didn't even know where I was. And I'm like, oh, shit. And I look up, and the crowd's like, "Wow!"
Do it again.
We're really long, but I'll tell my story now. I'll feel like Mike Douglas again. A long time ago, I was working on top of a dry cleaners in Marco Island, Florida. I booked that comedy club called September's, owned by two Irish guys, literally, John McDonough and Patty McDonough and John Lawrence, both from Galway. And every Wednesday they had comedy, and I booked the comedians in there. And one night it was me; I was the headliner. And I go in, it's upstairs, and there's 8 girls there for a bachelorette party, and they don't shut up. And the only 2 acts. The first act, he can't quiet them down, and it's awful. So I go up, and I'm about 10 minutes into the act, and I said, "Well, this is going to be fun tonight because we're going to figure out who's the biggest whore in the room." Well, the minute I said the biggest whore in the room, they assumed I was talking about these girls in the bachelorette party. And they shut up. I said, no, I'm not talking about you. I can't be bothered with you. I'm talking about either me or Patty, the owner. One of us is the biggest whore in the room. I'll tell you why. I could use the money. I'm getting paid for this. Obviously, he could use the money because he hasn't thrown you out yet. If he had any goyonies, he would throw you out, and so we can enjoy the show. I will keep talking. We'll give it 5 minutes. If he doesn't throw you out, see you later. I gave it 5 minutes. I walked off stage. I left him without a show, went down the stairs, drove home. Without the money. About 3 weeks later, I still book it. 3 weeks later, I go down. I knew the comedian. I forget what it was. And I go upstairs and they go, are you talking to us? I go, yeah, I'm talking to you two knuckleheads, but you can't do it. And they said, well, I said, what'd you do? They said, we had to give everybody their money back because there was no show. So I go, well, just take care of it. That was my one time I stood up for the comedy world. Let's get.
And you feel so great when you do that, right?
Yeah, till you wake up and realize you don't have the $300.
I gotta tell you this one quick thing. I'm doing a corporate gig with Jim Myers for Sikorsky Helicopter. And he would do this bit where he would be Klaus Myers. Mm-hmm. And they're all Germans from Sikorsky Helicopter.
Not a good thing.
So he's doing this whole bit, and all of a sudden, and they're laughing at everything he says, and then all of a sudden he says, my name is actually Jim Myers. I've never even been to Germany, and they hate him.
Yeah.
They hate him. Yeah. Like they feel like they've been deceived for the last 30 minutes. So he's eating it. So anyway, he goes to get off the stage, and he's supposed to do 40. So he gets off stage, and I go, Jim, don't worry about it. He goes, oh, I'm 10 minutes short. I go, don't worry about it. I'll do your time, right? So I go up there, and I do the 30, and now I'm starting to do this trick where I borrow this guy's money. I think your thing just went off again. Yeah. So anyway, I get the guy on stage, and so I go, I need somebody with some money in their wallet. And this guy comes up on stage, this little guy, and I go, do you have any money? And he goes, yes, I do. And he takes out his wallet. And I go, well, can I have a $20 or $100 bill? He goes, no, deal with it. And I was like, what? And he goes, deal with it. And I go, well, I just need some money, And I'm thinking, now I got to do the 10 minutes. And I'm going, just give me the money. And he's going, no, deal with it. And I go, fine, ladies and gentlemen, your next act. I hand him the mic and I walk off. So I go off stage and Myers goes, what was that? I go, I don't know. What a stupid asshole jerk. And I'm just going on and on and on and on. And then all of a sudden, points to my microphone. I had on a wireless microphone.
And they heard everything.
And it came over the entire audience. So Myers goes, let's just get our money and leave. So the guy comes up to pay me, and he hasn't mentioned a word. And I look at Myers, and he's writing the check, and I go, maybe he didn't hear it, And the guy gives me my check, and he goes, yes, he was, but you didn't have to announce it in front of 500 people. It's like, oh, God.
Let me remind everybody that this is one of the elements of this cruise. We are here to promote this cruise. We want to get a couple of hundred people on this cruise because we're working in the world stage, which is an 800-seat theater. And we'd like to get a big group. You will have so much fun. 4 different, Dottie, you can tell the people, besides the 4 different stand-up comedy shows, we also will have cocktail parties.
We've got cocktail parties, we've got meet and greets, we've got the Q&A, which of course you're going to hear a lot of these stories from these 3 and Richie. We've got individual headliner shows. Each of them will do headliner shows. We'll do the Celebrity Liars Club, which is, if you remember the game Boulder Dash, it's a lot of fun. You make up stories about words, definitions of words, and you have to determine as the audience who's telling the truth. It's a lot of fun. And special gifts. We're going to have some gifts for everyone as well from Best at Sea Tours. So you've got to call today, tomorrow, but you got to call 866-723-7874. I'll repeat that, 866-723-7874, or go to the Best at Sea Tours website, and we'll be happy to get you signed up. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be.
Let me tell you one thing. As far as the Howard Stern show, any fans of the show, they all have so many questions, and I answer everything. So anybody wants to come on the cruise and talk about the show and talk about what went on and what didn't go on, Some people like talking about stuff. Some comedians don't like, you know, exposing themselves with. But I'll talk to you until I'm blue in the face. And I know John and Richie and Tom will too. The trick is not going to be getting us to talk. The trick's going to be trying to get us to shut up.
We just lived that. As a matter of fact, this was keep it to 30 minutes. How did we do so far? It's really important to remember too, Best at Sea Tours, we are a family. If you never cruised, this is a good cruise to take because it is hosted by us, which means we solve your problems, take care of things for you. You'll meet people that you'll be friends with. And my wife, John can tell you that too. When you go cruising, you meet people and suddenly you stay friends with them. You cruise again with them. So if you've never done it, this is a good cruise. 7 days out of Fort Lauderdale, easy to get to. Great ports of call. They really are. And we'll make sure we hold your hand, all of you. And it's a lot more people than we normally have. Although we did a 85 on Dottie's last cruise on Oceania, 85, but we want 200. We want 200, and I think I haven't promoted it as well as I should have. I accept that, so we will get the word out there. And come and join Jackie and talk about Stern, Eastside Comedy Club, off our rockers. I can still see that album cover. I really can. Now we didn't even touch on the fact that John started doing straight magic and then comedy magic. And might as well. I'll cut this up a little bit. And now is also part of a whole new genre called paranormal. Is genre the right word?
It basically comes from the fact that, I'm a writer for the Carbonaro Effect.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically I had this big one night, this philosophical discussion with Michael saying, hey, nobody believes in magic anymore. If you see a great magician, you go, that's a good trick.
Mm-hmm.
I go, or if you see a great close-up guy, you go, that guy's got skills. Mm-hmm. No one thinks, it's not like 100 years ago when the magician came to town and people go, oh, he's got magic powers.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, what if you could take 15 or 20 tricks that no one's ever seen before, invent the tricks, and then put it together like it's almost like a seance that maybe some other force, and I go, all you could hope for is that they would leave the show and go, well, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
And so I started to put together the original show based on the Waverly Sanatorium, which is supposed to be the most haunted place in America. 8,000 people died of tuberculosis in 4 years. And then all of a sudden, that spun into like 4 other different shows, pirate show, vampire show. And all of a sudden, it's like they say in The Sopranos, just when I thought I was out, I'm sucked back in.
Yeah.
So now I'm doing conventions and, I have a line of stuff that I sell. And so, yeah, it's been pretty interesting. Now it's sort of like I always say this is like almost like the ground floor when I first started doing comedy. I'm lucky to be in on the ground floor, but it's like, did I want to be?
It's and of course I'm here to sell you. I'm here to sell you this cruise. And so the point of that is it's another angle, another tool in the toolbox. It's another show you're going to see that you probably never would see, and it doesn't cost you a dime. It's all.
And the one I'll do on the Caribbean is actually a pirate seance.
All right. Can you talk about the House of Cards? Is that something you can talk about?
Yes. So there's a. So I work at the Magic Castle in LA an awful lot. And so the manager there, this Joey Martinez, and he basically left there and started managing another club in Nashville called the House of Cards, which is sort of like the Magic Castle. And I got hired by the International Brotherhood of Magicians to do their national convention, to do my Waverly seance. And I had 450 people at the lecture and the show. So he said, the House of Cards, we're doing a special Halloween week. We'd love to have you come in and do it. So I get there, I fly to Nashville, and it's a beautiful club and everything. So the first night, I go, how many shows? They go, 4. Second night's 5. I'm like, oh my God,
Wow.
So by Wednesday, I had already done the show like 12 times. And my girlfriend flew in on Wednesday, and when I saw her, I go, Chris, you're not going to believe this. The show is so tight because I never get to do it that many times in a
Sure.
row, you know. And I go, what do you see this thing? It's amazing. It's really real, you know. So the next morning, I get a call from Joey to meet him in the office, and I go, this doesn't sound good. And he goes, well, it's not great. So I go into the office, and the owner of the club is there, and he said, listen, I can't have you doing the show anymore. And I go, what? And he goes, yeah, it's too real. People think you're actually talking to the dead. And I went, you got to be kidding me. So Joey says, well, isn't that a tribute to how good the show is?
Yeah.
And he goes, I guess, he goes, but, you know, he goes, I can't have it. People are afraid to come to the show. And meanwhile, the show was so watered down. I ended the show with the song Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Right.
But
And
that is a very deeply religious area of our country.
yeah, probably. I don't know. I mean,
So
and I
you
did
you literally killed him.
yeah. So wait, so I did the NBC News that
I saw it.
afternoon.
I saw it.
And you can see that on YouTube. And I scared the crap out of the two of them. So Joey convinces the owner, you need to come to the show one more time and look at it objectively. So he comes to the show that night. The lights go out, and I come walking out from the back of the room in the total dark, ringing a bell, like a school bell.
Yeah.
And I walk on stage, and I go, I ring this bell much like a church rings a bell, to let in only the good spirits and keep out the evil. I ring the bell till the room is clear. And I'm ringing the bell, and all of a sudden the bell stops ringing. I go, I think we can start. The curtain opens, and I have this creepy doll on stage. And the doll head turns and looks at me. And these four people on the front row sitting right in front of the owner goes, I don't do no creepy dolls. And they get up and they leave. So they paid me out. They gave me a bonus for doing the news. They paid me my full money. And so now I go home and I'm really pissed off. And everyone goes, no, it's the greatest thing that ever happened. So now when they advertise, I go, and banned in Nashville for being too real.
Jeez.
Well,
Those people should have to show their IQ at the door. You know.
you know what? You nailed it right there. I mean, honestly, you know, but anyway, it's so well done. That's how it's supposed to work. I want to thank everybody for being here. We went a little long. Richie couldn't make it because he's a big star and he's carrying Adam Sandler's coffee right now. So, but he would have been great. So you've listened to a guy that's been doing this a long. The greatest joke teller in history is here. One of the greatest comedy magicians is here, and Richie, who has some of the greatest jokes anybody's ever told. In his act, he's not here. I had to throw that in there, and I get by. So. Come and join us on February 14th. It's not only Valentine's Day, we're celebrating the birthday of the Joke Man, which means I now have to pay for cake for 200 people. But I don't know how much cake, I don't know how much, I might have to have that brought in. I don't know if Holland Americans can make a birthday cake to feed everybody. Well, we're going to do it. That's part of the cocktail party. On the first night, there'll be a farewell cocktail party. You'll meet everybody, you'll sit with us, we'll hang with you, you'll hear stories, you're going to see show on top of show, and it's all going to be run by the lady in the upper corner. I'm done. Once I get on board, I'm not doing anything because
I'm the lady in the upper corner on my screen.
Oh, okay. No. Sorry about that. Anyone closing?
Yeah, I want to leave you with a joke.
Okay, good.
Okay.
So a guy works at the CIA and he comes home and tells his wife and his kid, come in the kitchen. I want to show you what I'm working on. And they come in the kitchen. He said, you see this? This is a lie detector robot. It can tell if you're lying. I'll show you. And he says to the kid, what'd you do after school today? He says, I did my homework. And pow, the lie detector robot smacks the kid. He's all right. I went to Harry's house and watched the movie. What movie did you watch? Star Wars. No, lie detector. Pow! Smacks the kid again. He's all right. We watched some porn. His father says, porn? When I was your age, I didn't even know what porn was. And the lie detector robot smacks the father. And the wife says, he's your son, all right. And the lie detector robot smacks the wife.
All right. On that note, we'll get out of here. Thanks, everybody. I hope you had a few laughs. I hope you learned a little bit about comedy in Long Island, and I hope you pick up the phone and you join us for a fabulous 7-day round trip Fort Lauderdale cruise on the MS Stottendam. Oh boy, I sound like a bad announcer. All right. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye. All right. Thank you, everybody.
You're welcome.
I'll get that cleaned up, and that'll be running.
Jackie, you must know this joke. I just told this before. Do you know this joke? Can you hear me?
I'm listening.
Okay. So this blonde goes to a comedy club, and the ventriloquist comes out. Do you know this? If you know it, just stop me. And he does every blonde joke in the world.
You told us when we just signed on.
Oh, I didn't know you heard that.
Yeah, I
didn't know you were on. Did you ever hear that joke?
Of course. Tell me the number. I want to put the phone. I have the whole thing on the website, on my website, but I don't have that number. Give me the number they should call.
866
All right.
723
Okay.
7874.
866-723-7874.
Yep.
Yeah, you can put the website on too, www.
No, I have everything
you
there.
have
I
that.
just
Oh,
don't
okay.
have the phone number on
Oh,
there.
okay.
I'm sure they can get it at the website.
Yeah.
But sometimes if the number's right there in your face, it's better,
Yep.
you know.
For sure.
Jackie, real fast, when you used to do Stump the Joke Man, how many times did you actually? I mean, sometimes it'll be a guy that it's not the joke the way you know it. You ever have that? Here's why.
The whole trick is, you know, there's so many different ways that people can tell that the same joke can be told, but I could almost always figure it out. And very often somebody start a joke and I'd have to correct it and then tell it. I'd have to correct and I have so many fantastic Stump the Joke Man stories that it was just delightful.
Well,
you know,
the reason I ask is because we're gonna have T-shirts. They get a canvas bag, they get a T-shirt inside, a bunch of other crap. But I've thought about getting like golf, something else. If we did Stump the Joke Man and somebody came close,
well, I could bring some shirts, but the problem is if I bring shirts, then everybody says, I want to buy one, and
No, we can't do that. So
I'll figure out a way. Maybe I'll just bring a bunch of them. Maybe I'll rob a bank before we'll figure it out.
You don't have to do it, but we'll do it. But we'll do it something with. I wanted to say Best at Sea Tours on it. It's just something. They're gonna get one that has. Go ahead, Dottie.
I don't think we're putting umbrellas in that bag. I have extra umbrellas. We can always bring those.
Okay. We'll find something to give him. But what do you figure? If we did a Stump the Joke Man for half an hour, would you? 5 people might.
Well, what I always used to do in my act is I always I'd have girls up on stage, and I'll send you some footage of but I would always give all the girls a shirt, just because they come on stage and I would torture them. But the amount of people that stopped me was, sometimes none, sometimes 3, and I was usually pretty generous about it, but it was very rare because usually the jokes people tell you are jokes that have been around forever, and that's why they know them. All of a sudden, if somebody had something really unique, I mean, I got nailed a couple times really well, which were, like the funniest ones, like the guy holding up the license plate. You can't even make that up.
True stories.
We were at Chuckles one night. All the comedians came back, and Jackie was on stage doing Stump the Joke Man, and this guy stands up and goes, "Hey, what is an oblong ball called?" And you see Jackie's mind start to melt, and he's going through 1,000 jokes, right? And all of a sudden, Jack goes, "I don't know." And he goes, "A football." And Jackie goes, "That's not even a joke." And all the comedians are in the booth going, "Give him the stuff. Give him the stuff."
Right. Always. The greatest ad lib I ever had when we first started on the Stern Show mornings in New York, before anybody knew anything. I mean, the very beginning, so many people would come up to me and say, "Hey, somebody told me Robin's black. Is she really black?" And Howard would tell everybody he was half Jewish and half Italian. So that way, that would encompass almost 99% of the people on Long Island. And so we'd tell all these lies. And I was working at Chuckles, and I used to play Stump the Joke Man. And I said, listen, and I'll answer any questions you got, because the Stern Show was new and everybody's real excited and blah, blah, blah. And the guy stood up and he said, is Howard Stern really half Jewish? And I said, yes. And the guy said, what's the other half? I said, even more Jewish. It was the greatest ad-lib ever. And of course, that got back to him in about 3 minutes, Well, all right, we'll let you go, Tom. I know this is going a long time.
No, I appreciate everything you're doing. I appreciate all the support, and we're going to get some big numbers. And John's taking a call from Hollywood.
I am.
Jackie, we got to work on in next week or so. Dottie, reach out. I want to start looking for airfare.
Okay.
To get you down.
Yeah, sounds good.
Oh, tell me what's the
I'll
best time to
Bye.
arrive. I like going JetBlue, but I'm sure there's flights out of MacArthur Airport, which are much.
JetBlue, and we're gonna have to bring in the night before. Originally, I was gonna bring John and Richie in the night before, but the hotel prices. You can't believe this. We have a New Year's cruise out of Lauderdale, December 30th. We're staying at the Embassy Suites right around the corner on December 29th for $267, right, for the room. Right now on February 13th, that room is $745. Right.
Fuck.
So we're
because it's Valentine's Day.
No, they have 6 ships. They have 6 ships in Lauderdale that day, so it's nuts. So we're staying. So I'm not bringing John and Richie in, but we're staying at the Omni where you're going to be with us. You have to. You can come in the morning of, but it's risky as hell. It really.
No.
is.
I always do a day early.
Yeah, so,
I'm one of those guys that gets to the airport an hour and a half early.
Yeah,
like me.
I don't like sitting in the Long Island Expressway going, oh fuck, I'm gonna miss the flight.
Nope. So we'll get working. It'll be JetBlue and then a hotel. So we get that done. As far as when we get on board, we're hoping when the cruise director will be a little bit more helpful than Shoreside has been. We might not have to use the world stage. There are 3 other public spaces that would work better, but we'll see how it works out. Either way, though, it's a go, and
we'll make it work. Don't worry.
A lot of great people, all the Hawthorns, and a lot of really fun people in this group, people that listen to my podcast, people that know us from Oceania. More and more people are coming around to this and realizing it's a hell of a cruise. Even if you don't go to all the shows, and just the 7-day out of Lauderdale is a good deal. All right, I'll let everybody go. Thanks. John,
Hey,
go ahead.
I just have one question. I mean, if I have to do this seance thing in an 1,800 seat room, that'll be nuts.
No,
yeah,
not going to work.
Okay.
Yeah, and the worst case scenario is I'll throw that back on Holland America if the cruise director doesn't look. Dottie's been doing this for 38 years, and we've had groups on Oceania that only carry 650 guests, and we've had groups of 200 and made it work. So they're just being assholes in the office, and they've been real hard about it. So when we get on board the cruise director, whatever, I'll kiss him on the cheek, and we'll get a better room. I kind of like the world stage because it'll have all the
lighting and good sound.
It's gonna be great. So, all right, thank you, gentlemen.
All right,
appreciate
thank you.
See you, Jackie.
All right,
Christine.
Thanks.
All right, I will. Bye.
See you, John. Take it easy.
See you later, Jackie. Bye.
Get out of here. And